Assemblyman Martin McGuinness put the Irish tricolour on the coffin. A black belt, berry and gloves were put in place by Gerry Adams, the MP for West Belfast and President of Sinn Féin. Shops and offices in Coal Island closed as the funeral cortege made its way to a local Roman Catholic church. There, a priest whose brother died on hunger strike said faceless, nameless strangers had violated the law of nature by striking down an Irishman in his native land. Then, through the centre of the town, only yards from the local police station, a show of strength by the IRA. 10 masked men flanked the coffin. The security forces watched from a distance as a volley of shots was fired at the graveside.
IRA say that 23-year-old Colin McGurr and 19-year-old Brian Campbell were going to check an arms dump when confronted by the SAS. They say the men were not armed. The army say they were. Austin Hunter now reports.
The funeral of Brian Campbell was from his home just outside Coal Island. The cortege made its way to St Patrick's Church at Clonau, just about a mile from the scene of the shooting. Local priest Father Joe Campbell told mourners that the circumstances of Brian Campbell's death should be called into question. He demanded that the basic right of life should be respected by all. It was only when this was done, he said, that there would be a true foundation for justice and genuine peace. Another priest, an uncle of the man who died, also took part in the Mass. At the graveside, the coffin was flanked by an IRA colour party. A volley of shots was fired. A short time later, the funeral of Colin McGurr. Sinn Féin Assemblyman Martin McGuinness put the tricolour on the coffin. A black belt, gloves and berry were put in place by Gerry Adams, the MP for West Belfast and President of Sinn Féin. Shops and offices closed in Coal Island as hundreds of people lined the route of the funeral. In the Church of the Holy Family, the circumstances of the shooting were referred to by Father Brian McCreesh, a brother of one of the IRA men who died on hunger strike. He said faceless, nameless strangers had violated the law of nature by striking down Irishmen in their native land. Then the IRA put on a show of strength in the town centre, just outside the local police station. 10 masked men flanked the coffin. The security forces watched from a distance as another volley of shots was fired at the graveside.
In the Assembly there was condemnation of what were called the disgraceful scenes at today's funeral. Ivan Foster of the DUP said that if the Catholic Church was opposed to the IRA, their opposition should have been demonstrated today. John Cushnahan of the Alliance Party said he wouldn't deny any man the right to a Christian funeral, but he distinguished that from what he called the glorification of terrorists by clergymen. A 24-year-old
died. Shops and offices were closed in Coal Island as thousands of people attended the funerals of Brian Campbell and Colin McGurr. At McGurr's funeral, 10 masked IRA men flanked the coffin. And in the Assembly, the Reverend Aine Paisley criticised the IRA-style funerals and the participation of leading Sinn Féin members in them. A report now from Ivan Little.
The funeral of Colin McGurr from his Coal Island home was as much a showpiece for Sinn Féin as a show of strength by the IRA. In an unusual move, it was Sinn Féin Assemblymen Martin McGuinness, Gerry Adams and Owen Caron who performed the traditional ceremony of placing the tricolour and IRA berry and belt on top of McGurr's coffin. Some observers saw it as a move to publicly spurn claims of a rift inside the Republican movement with the renewal of Sinn Féin support for IRA violence. And later, as the cortege made its way to the Church of the Holy Family in the centre of Coal Island, the Sinn Féin leaders carried McGurr's coffin through the town. The cortege passed right past Coal Island's police station under the noses of guards in an observation post. At the church, Father Brian McCreesh, brother of dead hunger striker Raymond McCreesh, told mourners it was an offence against the law of nature that an Irishman should be shot in his own townland by faceless and nameless strangers. Afterwards, as the cortege made its way to another churchyard a mile away, 10 masked IRA men joined the funeral to march beside the coffin. They went right through the town, but there were no police or troops on the streets. Instead, the security forces watched the funeral from 2 army helicopters equipped with high-powered cameras. After carrying McGurr's coffin to the graveside, 3 of the IRA colour party produced handguns to fire shots over it. Danny Morrison gave the graveside oration in which he claimed the killings of the IRA men were Jim Pryor's way of luring Unionists back to the Assembly. And defending the use of force, he asked what other path Republicans could follow.
Someone show us if there is a peaceful path to United Ireland. Someone tell us if we can achieve our just demands to be treated equally, if we can achieve our national rights through constitutional means. Nobody can tell us that.
Earlier, Brian Campbell, the other IRA man shot by the SAS, was buried at St Patrick's Churchyard at Clonoe, not far from the scene of the shooting. In a funeral address, the local priest, Father Joseph Campbell, said the circumstances of the shooting must be called into question. He also said the basic right of life should be respected by all. Campbell's funeral had been comparatively low-key, but at the graveside, masked IRA men appeared to fire volleys of shots over the coffin.
As was mentioned in the Assembly, DUP members strongly criticised the IRA-style funerals. The Reverend William McRae asked why the IRA had been allowed to fire shots over the coffins. The Reverend Aidan Paisley described the scenes as disgraceful and called for Sinn Féin to be outlawed. Alliance Chief Whip John Cushnahan clashed with the DUP when he said that Free Presbyterian clergymen had been involved in glorifying men of violence. As the hunt for kidnapped...
The funeral of Con McGurr became a showpiece for Sinn Féin. The coffin began its journey carried by senior